What's up, farm family? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are prepping the potatoes to get ready to go plant them. It is Tuesday, April 4th. I just got off working. We are getting ready to head over. The neighbor has been tilling the gardens, getting them ready to go. We got rain coming in tomorrow night. But first we got to get these potatoes ready to go. So just like we did last year, we had potatoes left over, like we've done for several years actually. We had potatoes left over. This is a white potato that we had. And then there's several others in here that are pink. You can see if I pull them out here, they got great big long pink runners on them. So like this here, you can see that. I've seen people on Facebook, social media say you can't plant potatoes that look like this. Well, yeah, you can. Break it off, ta-da, it's ready to go now. So you can, and we do this every year. We plant leftover potatoes every year, and we just continue to harvest. We don't have to buy seed potatoes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these potatoes. The white potatoes, they originally started off as Kennebecs years ago, and they've hybridized to some extent with the Pontiacs and the Yukon Golds that we had. And these white potatoes actually will last a lot longer, and they don't send such long runners out, and they don't sprout as badly as the pink potatoes that I just showed you here. I mean, see, some of these, they've got really long runners on them. The pink potatoes tend to get bigger. Now, obviously, this one didn't. This was some of the smaller ones that we had there. But we'll just take this whole potato. We'll lay out a trench. We'll just take this potato, throw it in the trench, put about, I don't know, 2 to 3 inches of dirt on top of it, and that's all we're going to do. And we'll go through after they start sprouting, and after they go to certain height, we'll come through and we will hill them up, but there'll be videos on that later. Today all we're doing is we're taking these potatoes, we're going to prepare them. I've got 2 baskets here that are a mixture of little bitty white potatoes that have sprouted and some of the pink potatoes that have sprouted. And then this basket here has got larger white potatoes. And what we're going to do with these larger ones, if we run out of the smaller white potatoes, is we're going to take these, we're going to chop them up so that you get an individual eye on each piece, and then we're basically going to let these set out and age for 24 to 48 hours before we go plant them. If you take these whole ones, let's say I wanted to plant this whole white potato here, I would just put it in the ground just like it is. I wouldn't chop it, I wouldn't cut it. You could. If you had limited potatoes to plant, you could do that. You could maximize, you can extend your number of seed potatoes to extend your harvest. But in our case, we have an abundance of seed potatoes, so just to save time and to avoid having to cut them and let them age or cure and dry, I'm just going to put them in the ground just as they are. So we're going to go through. I've got like 3 more baskets this size in my crawl space that have sprouted that need to do something. We need to do something with as well. Last year we sold some. We may end up selling some this year as well, depending on if anybody wants them. But that's what we're going to be doing today. Is we're going to go through, sort these out, get them separated into all the white potatoes in one basket, break off the long runners, all the pink potatoes in another basket, break off the long runners, and then we're going to hopefully go get them set out, if not this evening, tomorrow morning, before the rains arrive tomorrow evening. So let's get to it. I said, Mom said she made a peanut butter pie, but I didn't know we were supposed to get a peanut butter pie.
When did she make peanut butter pie?
The other day when we were over there, Sunday or whatever.
Talk about a long runner.
Mm-hmm.
A 3-foot runner. That's a Reynolds Ranch record.
Think so?
Why else would I say it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was. Why would I say it?
Alright, so we're done going through the potatoes here. We sorted them out. We broke the long runners off. Most of the long runners off. There's a couple that got by, but we've got a half-bushel basket of the Kennebec potatoes and a half-bushel basket of the Pontiac hybrid potatoes. I still have probably another 2 baskets in the crawl space that we need to go through to do something with. There's going to be plenty of potatoes here to plant what we have for the garden space that we have set aside. We're going to start off planting primarily the Kennebec potatoes. We'll probably do, I think we're going to do 4 rows this year, maybe 5, I'm not sure. We're probably going to do the majority of them as the Kennebecs, and then we'll switch over and put some of these pink Pontiac hybrid potatoes out next, because they do typically grow pretty large. They've got a really good flavor to them. They just don't keep long term the way that these Kennebecs do. So I gotta go check with the neighbors, see what the status is of the tilling of the garden, and see when we're ready to put these potatoes out, whether it be this evening or tomorrow morning. So we'll catch you then.
Hello.
Alright, so here we are with the garden now. I thought I heard the neighbor tilling while I was at my house grilling chicken for dinner, and sure enough, I get over here and he's already tilled it once. I'm going to go over and talk to him and see if he thinks we need to till it a second time before we plant, or if he thinks it's good to go. There is a little bit of wet stuff in there, and it has clumped a little bit, especially here on this end where it's underneath this pine tree, and there's a box elder right here that you can't really see. I don't think you can see it in frame, and it tends to keep it shaded here, so this is a little bit wetter on this side here. But I'm thinking this year I'm going to rotate where I plant the potatoes. We've done the potatoes on this side of the garden the past 2 years. I believe this year I'm going to rotate and either put the potatoes on the other side of the garden, or I may actually put the rows of potatoes right down the middle and then put tomatoes on this side and tomatoes on the other side. So I know people ask all the time, what can you plant together? We always plant potatoes, tomatoes, and peppers in this garden, and they always produce really heavily. So I've heard people say before, you can't mix tomatoes and potatoes beside each other. Well, we've done it for years without any issues. So maybe we've just gotten lucky all those years. But you know, I've also heard people say you can't plant near walnut trees. Well, there's walnut trees surrounding this garden, and other than the roots of the walnut tree sucking up any moisture that the plants could use, you know, we haven't had an issue with the acid conditions beneath the walnut tree. Now, yeah, we're not planting directly beneath the walnut tree, but we're here within, you know, right here is 10 yards from a walnut tree. Over there, we're 10 yards from a walnut tree, and it hasn't had any adverse effects on the garden. So I'm going to go talk to Jack, figure out if he thinks we need to till this again, and work up a plan for getting these potatoes in the ground. And I guess we will just see you whenever we start working this up again, or start putting potatoes in the ground. Alright everybody, we're down here at the garden now. It is the next morning. It is hot. It's about 85 degrees out here. The wind is picking up. Storm's rolling in this evening. We're going to have to lay these rows out by hand. Jack does not have his layout plow for the tractor, so we've got an old push plow. I did threaten to strap it to my son and let him pull it like an ox, but I was told that'd be child abuse. I don't understand that whole idea, but whatever. So we're going to lay this out by hand using the old push plow, and we'll start putting these potatoes in the ground. Well, that is going to do it for the potato planting portion of this video. Hope you found something there, saw something there that maybe informed you a little bit about how we do potatoes here. We've done several potato videos over the years. They've always been really well received, lots of comments, lots of questions. You know, there's always a lot of kind of misunderstanding with potatoes. I've seen and heard a lot of people say you can't grow potatoes in the red clay soil that we have here in East Tennessee. Don't tell the potatoes that because obviously the potatoes that we harvest every year don't realize they're not supposed to grow in the red clay soil. I mean, last year we got 425 pounds of potatoes. The year before that was 325 or 350, I don't remember. And, you know, obviously they didn't know that they're not supposed to grow in red clay because they did. So, another thing a lot of people like to say is you need to harvest them when the blooms go away. You can. You're going to end up with a lot of little new potatoes. But if you allow the plants to totally go from green to dried up and brown, the potatoes are sucking all of the nutrients and energy out of the green plant, and the tubers, the potato part, is actually growing during that time. So we allow our potatoes to completely die, shrivel up, fall over, and then that's when we dig them. So we'll do more videos on the potatoes and the onions and all that stuff as the year progresses, and kind of go back and touch base on all that sort of stuff. Excuse me. After we finished the potato portion today, or the potato planting, that was at noon. That was on lunchtime today. We came home. I did some more work. Amy and the kids had to start getting ready for church. About that time, shortly after that, I got a text message from my aunt that lives here beside us. And she said, are you missing some honeybees? I went out and checked my hive, and I couldn't tell really at the time because it was heat of the day, really. She sent me a picture. She had a huge swarm of honeybees in a cedar tree beside her house. So I got my gear on and headed down there, and by the time I got there, they had all fell onto the ground. So I spent probably 45 minutes scooping honeybees up, maybe 30 minutes, scooping honeybees up, one scoop at a time, and I ended up filling up half of a 5-gallon bucket with honeybees. I got them up here, and unfortunately I didn't have a standby hive ready to put them in, and you can't just mix one colony of bees with another colony of bees. So I had to try to cobble together a temporary hive using some of my other boxes, my medium boxes that I have, just to try to give these bees somewhere to live. I'm probably going to end up spending tomorrow evening or Friday building a new base box for the bottom. That way I can make a new what they call a deep box or a brood box, to try to move this whole swarm of bees into, because there's probably, honestly, more bees in this swarm that I got today. There may be more bees in this swarm I got today than what was in my original hive that I had up here. So I did check later in the day before I transported the bees that I brought up in the bucket into the new temporary hive, and my bees were still there, going wide open. So this is a different swarm from a different hive somewhere else that I found. It could be a wild hive somewhere. There's no telling where these things come from. So I now have 2 hives for now. I've got to get that fixed. I've got to get something done on that and get a new brood box built quickly. The problem is supplies around here are very low. So I'm having to kind of make do with what I can cobble together on my own. When I say around here, I mean local stores. So I'm having to make do with whatever I can cobble together on my own to try to get this done. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I ask that you go in and you hit the like button, drop a comment or question below if you have anything that you want to add or ask. I really appreciate you watching. If you like this kind of content, I ask that you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell to be notified every time we release a new video. We're going to try to put out 1 to 2 videos a week, as long as we're able to. We're going to start getting busy soon, but we're going to try to keep consistent with our videos. Anyway, I wish you a wonderful day. Stay safe, and God bless.